Hello and welcome to quarterfinal coverage of Grand Prix Ottawa. I'm Brian David Marshall. I'm joined by Ben Stark, and we are watching Neal Oliver on your left. Neal Oliver, the winner of the largest Grand Prix ever.
Yeah.
Grand Prix Las Vegas, which was limited, playing against Sam Black.
Yeah.
14th ranked player in the game right now.
Two Pro Tour top eights.
Yeah, two Pro Tour top eights. Multiple Pro Tour winning deck designs, and just and someone who's been dazzling us with his bizarre drafts all weekend.
Although not in this top eight though.
No, he's very, very straightforward with this deck.
He's just Abzan. I mean, he opened Siege Rhino, he second picked Abzan Charm, and he got some lands.
Got past some Abzan guides.
Like 4. Some.
He was like, I don't know how to, he was like, I don't know how to rate this deck. I'm like, I don't know how either. It looks like a good deck, but I don't know how to rate it on the Sam Black scale of,
that's funny.
Flying Crane techniquing my Siege Rhinos.
Right, he doesn't know how to rate this deck because he's used to such crazier decks. To me, I'm watching this draft, I'm like, wow, his deck's great. That's exactly what I hope to have every draft.
So, gain land for Sam on turn 3, and then he's got 2 mana tapped. Is he thinking about? Yeah, he's going to outlast the Disowned Ancestor.
And that very well might be the right play. Once again, I always like to stress, you don't want to play a tap land, tap 2 mana, and then go in the deep tank there. Before you play your land, just figure out what you're going to do with your 2 mana so that your opponent doesn't really know what you're thinking about.
Right. And there we see the first morph from Neal Oliver, so that's a 2/3.
Though I do like the play of outlasting the Disowned Ancestor. He doesn't need that Heir of the Wilds in play yet. I'd rather start ticking that guy up, play the Heir now, get that Disowned Ancestor on the uptick.
Right.
I'm disappointed that these two are playing round 1 because I watched both of their drafts and I love both their decks.
Right.
So I was kind of hoping to see them, play multiple matches. Seeing one of them go home in the quarters is going to be disappointing to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
There can only be one champ.
How do you feel like the Secret Plans deck matches up against the multiple Abzan guide deck?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's not a lot of removal in the blue-green deck.
No, but they're just 4/4s. He doesn't necessarily have to kill them. He could be attacking with a Mystic of the Hidden Way while having something bigger stopping them.
Sure.
I mean, Neal's deck doesn't have a ton of size. It is good at blocking with double Dragon's Eye Savants and Monastery Flock. However, if you're blocking and they're gaining 4 every turn from their Abzan guide, then that's not that effective.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, it could be long games. It could be good games. I mean, both their decks have a pretty high power level, and neither of their decks is particularly good, I don't think, at busting through the other deck or just ending the game. Like, Sam doesn't have Dune Blast or something like that.
Nope, Shahar sort of that.
Yeah, and Neal's really good at blocking.
Yeah, so Neal loves blocking.
Yeah, so I could definitely see long games here.
Yeah. So after the Heir of the Wild, Neal Oliver played a long shot squad, then Sam ticked his Disowned Ancestor up again and played a morph alongside his Heir of the Wilds, which is sitting back and just kind of, minding the fort.
And we know Neal didn't offer that morph for Heir of the Wilds last turn, so I'm guessing the morph is something he couldn't unmorph then, or something that just doesn't interact profitably with Heir of the Wilds. Because, I mean, having Secret Plans out, let's say that morph is like a Dragon's Eye Savant, he doesn't necessarily want that trade because he can't unmorph it, so he can't draw a card.
I just have to assume Sam has Abzan guide online here.
Well, I don't know Sam's total set of morphs, but obviously with 4 Abzan guides, it's very likely. I guess he only has 3. I really thought I counted 4 during the draft, but it says 3.
Yep, here comes an Abzan guide. He just flips it up.
Is it really only 3? I could swear it was 4. I don't know. Probably my mistake.
Oh, here comes a Dragon Eye Savants, revealing Crippling Chill.
Yeah, that's about what I thought. Definitely couldn't send in that Dragon Eye Savants there.
And there you see the incremental growth that came all the way back around the table to Sam.
I don't love that card.
The Awaken the Bear and the Krumar Bondkin and land. Neither did Sam, but Sam feels that he had a lot of success with that card yesterday in Sealed.
Yeah.
And thought he could draft a deck around it.
It's going to be good for Sam in this matchup, I think, because Neal's deck is very slow.
Right.
But, when you're the one under pressure and you need to make trades and, play defense, it's virtually an unplayable card.
Okay, and then Crippling Chill taps down the Abzan guide.
I'm not really sure why this Disowned Ancestor is attacking. Oh, I think Sam caught it just in the nick of time. Like, if he wants to chump block this Heir at 21, be my guest. Tapping that Disowned Ancestor just gives Neal the option to attack with the long shot squad if he wants. Certainly wrong. And Sam had it tapped and then untapped it, I think.
Now, why would you unmorph the Abzan guide before you declare attackers?
Yeah, that seems like a mistake also. I'm not really sure why he did that.
It's like a very land-heavy hand there for Neal Oliver.
Yeah, but the real question is, does he have more morphs so he can draw cards?
You know, looks like he... That is an Ice Feather even in hand.
That's a really good one.
That's about as good as it gets, really.
Yeah, he could unmorph it, bouncing his Dragon Eye Savants.
So you don't gain life off the Abzan guide?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he'll do that or not. It depends on how the game shapes up, you know?
Right.
But he definitely has the potential to draw cards then.
Yep, and here comes the Aven.
And now his hand is just land.
Incognito, yeah, I think his hand is just lands.
That's all right, though. I mean, unless Sam has removal, he's going to get a card from that Aven at least. Secret Plans, I mean, draws a lot of cards sometimes. If you got that thing turn 2, and you've got a morph-heavy deck like Neal does, that has the potential to draw a lot of cards.
How many morphs do you want to have?
Well, because it gives +0/+1 to your morphs. I mean, if my mana, like if I'm 2-color blue-green and can just cast Secret Plans whenever I want, I'll play it even without a ton of morphs, you know, 6, 7 maybe.
Right.
I wouldn't play it if I had 4 morphs or something like that.
Right.
But, you know, it gets really good, obviously, you know, the more you have. You know, if you have 9, 10, 11 morphs, then that can be an incredibly powerful game-winning card.
Sam plays a Krumar Bondkin face up and then continues to outlast his Disowned Ancestor. So
yeah,
it's
I like
4/8 now.
I like that. That's one thing I see a lot of maybe less experienced players do is morph guys all the time. And in spots like this where you've got stuff to do with your mana, I really like just getting your big creatures out. You don't want to spend an additional 3 mana.
You know, we know Sam has a card like Dead Drop in his deck, right? He doesn't want to have to, you know, make the decision between, oh, do I unmorph this now and then not have the mana to do that?
Yeah, and he's got Incremental Growth in hand, Disowned Ancestor in play. There's no reason not to just face up that guy. I mean, you're not bluffing bigger than that with him. Oh, attack him into your 6/6. It could be a Willy Loxodon, you know? Like, that's just not likely to play out that way.
Sam plays a Dismal Backwater. There was very nearly a trail of mystery for Neal Oliver in this draft.
Really?
Yeah, I think Xavier kind of dabbled in it. Nothing ended up happening with it for him, but he definitely looked at the card. Oh boy,
Yeah.
Incremental growth.
Yeah, we know Neal's going to be able to mitigate this damage a little bit with his Ice Feather Aven,
little.
but this is definitely not looking great for him at the moment. Sam's going to have a lot of very big creatures. I imagine Sam's goal is to get those all past the Dragon's Eye Savant, so it'll be 1 on the Bondkin, 2 on the Abzan Guide, 3 on the Heir of the Wilds. He could put the 3 on the Disowned Ancestor instead of the Heir of the Wilds. I don't think he'll do that, but it's not unreasonable. I guess one thing he's considering is if that morph is Woolly Loxodon, he wants to have a profitable attack against that, and he's not necessarily worried if the Abzan Guide doesn't get past the Dragon's Eye Savant, because if he's gaining 5 life a turn, he's probably pretty happy with that.
Right. Well, what do you do now, Neal? Everybody's attacking.
Yeah.
What do you even bounce?
Yeah, I mean, Neal's not in a great spot here, obviously.
Yeah, that's a 6/6 Heir of the Wilds. That's a 4/8. That's a what, 7/5 and a 5/5?
Yeah. And I mean, what Sam did was probably better than what I was thinking, because the long shot squad would have had a block on the Krumar Bondkin. Now there's not really any profitable block for the long shot squad. I mean, it's going to end up being part of a double block, which isn't much different, but that's because the morph itself is not a big morph that can block on its own.
Right.
And Sam didn't know that yet.
So yeah, so double block there, and then I guess the plan is to bounce the Heir of the Wilds?
Yeah, or the Bondkin. I'm not really sure which will bounce. The Bondkin's dealing a little more damage. The Heir has 1 more counter on it. I don't know which of these he's going to want to bounce, but this block looks very reasonable. Well, that settles that. The Ice Feather Raven's going to go ahead and block the Abzone Guide now.
Yeah.
Bounce the Abzone Guide.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously way more important than bouncing either of the creatures getting through.
And did he draw a card there?
He did.
Okay.
You know what else he did here? I think he took 12. It's going to be a rough game for Neal here.
Yeah, he's down to 6.
Does he have enough mana to morph 1,000 Winds and then unmorph it?
No.
Okay.
It looks like a Monastery Flock. Draw a card.
Neal was very flooded.
Yeah.
I figured when he had lands early, after he drew a few cards, he'd probably draw out of it, but he just drew more land, it looks like.
It looks like he's thinking about kicking up the long shot squad to get it to a 5.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Then it can trade with Krim or Bonkin, I guess.
In a turn.
In a turn, yeah. It's not an unreasonable play.
Yeah. And now he's going to think about it. Does he have any yet?
Yeah. Neal playing very aggressively here. I don't disagree with it. I mean, he's going to block and chump block and take 6 down to 1.
He's going to double chump, isn't he? Like,
well, the Dragon's Eye Summon can block the Disowned
right. He can
Ancestor.
actually, right. He's at 7. I see.
Right.
Because I forgot about the land he just played.
I'm fairly sure he's not going to double chump. There's no reason to do that.
No.
Yeah. But I don't think he needed that 4 damage very much, but I also don't know that he wanted to block with those.
Right.
So, I mean...
So, if you're not blocking, you're attacking.
Exactly.
A basic adage of Magic. He's going to take 6 here and go to 1.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely got to find answers. I mean, the Abzone Guide's coming back down. Oh, or the Becoming Immense that Sam just drew is killing. Yeah.
Okay. Sam's in his pump spells phase of his experimentation in the Khans of Tarkir format.
Yeah. And while they seem a little out of place, they do work well with Abzone Guides.
Yeah. Yeah, no, again, this is something Sam said, my Seal deck on day 1, I just had a bunch of these kind of spells. He's like, Yelger Vigashima is always telling me to try this. So, here I am.
Anything Yelger says, it's fine to do.
just yes?
Yeah. No arguing with Hall of Famers. Hall of Famers know best.
There you get a look at your bracket. Pascal Menard versus Xavier Allegrucci. I know Xavier's dad is frantically watching the stream at home. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see Xavier on camera. How crazy is this? Xavier, who's 17, his dad used to play Magic back in the Shard Phoenix era of Standard.
Oh, wow. Wow. Back when his dad is probably 45. Back when he was 25, he played Magic, or 28.
So yeah,
incredible.
So his dad, apparently there's a video somewhere out there on the internet of his dad going, "Mah!" freaking out when his son made qualified for the Pro Tour.
I played that deck, JSS 1.
I have a picture of you from that event.
Yeah, wearing that Panthers shirt.
Yeah.
I was like 14.
There you see Sam. I've obviously been watching Sam Black and Neal Oliver. Jessica Buchanan and Seth Manfield, also on the back table. And then we have Shahar Shenhar and Lucas Siao over there. Guys who've made it their way into more than a couple of Grand Prix top 8s in their careers.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a peek in on the match between Jessica Buchanan and Seth Manfield. As soon as we get all of our elves scurried over into the right positions. So everyone here was pretty happy with the deck. Seth Manfield's playing a super aggressive basically red-white deck that's just splashing a little bit of black.
Nice.
You know, playing 17 lands.
It's one of my favorite decks in the format.
He thought very hard about playing 16 lands. You know, has two Hordling Outbursts,
Oh, wow.
2 Ponyback Brigades, 2 Trumpet Blasts, and a Russia Battle.
4 Leaping Master.
Yeah. You know, and he switched into this actually very late in the draft. His first picks, he was blue-green or blue-red, or he was very blue early on in the draft, and he just abandoned it.
His deck looks great.
Yeah, his deck looked like really lean and nasty. Jessica Buchanan is playing. She is playing Jeskai. I know she has a Flying Crane technique.
Nice card.
3 Efreet Weapon Masters, a Winter Flame,
So this is the aggro deck
and a couple Arrow Storms, and just, you know, a good amount of mid-range removal.
versus a little more power.
Yeah.
It's Ken Seth, keep her on her back foot, and prevent her from winning the game with those cards.
Right. And so it looks like we just came in on a barrage of boulders that a Feat of Resistance may have saved a flyer.
It also looks like Jessica got game 1 already.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is a close game here. Seth's at 7, Jessica's at 9, but Seth clearly has the commanding position.
Yeah. If Seth hasn't attacked yet, I'm not really sure what he's thinking about. Not really sure what's going on exactly.
Yeah.
She is tapped out, right?
Yeah.
And he can't block the only creature she has.
Oh, I think what's happening right now is the Jeering Instigator has taken the Salt Road Patrol.
Oh, so he's deciding whether to leave a guy back or not
Yes.
to block that?
Yes, and in the end, he decided to leave the Jeering Instigator back.
So she can win this game right now, right, with Flying Crane technique?
Yes, she could.
She doesn't seem like she's casting it. Maybe she is.
No, I don't know. She's lining up her mana.
Well, you know, I'm not that big on thinking about it when I've got them dead, but maybe she's doing the math, double checking, you know.
Opponent's tapped out.
Doesn't look like she's doing that.
It's a Summit Prowler. It's a Crippling Chill to keep the Morph tapped down. Makes her Jeskai Wind Scout a 3-power creature, and Seth falls to 4.
So she's playing it very safe. I don't hate this line by her, but I think I'd probably tap the Morph on my opponent's turn, so it stays tapped for an extra turn.
I guess the life totals were...
Okay. Yeah, the life totals
right. She took a hit there. So you see, he gave flying to the Leaping Master, who's been doing it all.
Sure.
And then Defiant Strike for the last point damage.
And obviously, with her at 3 and not 9, that isn't a great line. You know, you can attack with the Wind Scout Pass and have Crippling Chill for the Leaping Master.
Right.
It's unlikely the Morph is big enough to eat through the Saltfield Recluse.
Oh no. Looks like no second land for Neal Oliver here in the quarterfinals.
That's ugly.
Despite having the secret plans.
Yeah.
All right, looks like he found it. We're going to see a turn 2 secret plans. And now he's still, but he's got a...
Is this turn 3 or turn 2 for Neal? Did he play or draw? I mean, maybe we don't know. I mean, he lost game 1.
He did lose game 1.
He could have chose to draw. Both decks are slow.
Sure. There's land 3.
Sam has 6 cards in it, and he played 1, so it looks like Neal did miss turn 2.
Yeah, I think he did miss, but promptly hit his next 2 land drops.
Yeah.
So it's a turn 4 Morph.
So we're not out of the game yet.
Yeah.
Now maybe Neal can get rolling.
Now you see the incremental growth in Sam's hand again.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to be good. Once again, though, it's going to be good against a deck like Neal's that isn't really pressuring you and has a bunch of, pseudo walls.
Right.
Whereas, if he played against a deck like Seth's, he'd be hating that incremental growth.
So now the 2-3 Morph just attacks past the Highland game. You're not going to get any accidental blocks at this stage of the tournament.
Probably not from Sam Black.
No, probably not from Sam Black, exactly. Okay. And then morph number 2. Probably a Monastery Flock.
Could be a Dragon's Eye Savant. I know
Sure.
he's got the one blue open, but, you know. We'll have to sit around and sweat wondering which it is.
He does have 2 of the Savants to 1 Monastery Flock, so. Boy, does he love that card.
Yeah.
He loves it. He's the blockiest.
Some people just love blocking.
Yeah, I could definitely tell you that that's Neal. You know, Neal was defending his use of banners. You know, it's like he's like, we're like, well, don't you just fall so far behind? He's like, no way.
Yeah.
And you just untap and you play a Rotting Mastodon.
Yeah, there are a lot of guys like that. You know, Chris Fennell loves it. You know, David Ochoa.
Sure.
You know, a lot of pros who just really love to block.
So Sam picks up his Disowned Ancestor and sitting back on the Highland game, and we know, probably a couple of pump spells here. Looks like he's got an Awaken the Bear. Looks like he's got his Obzon Charm.
It's interesting because Sam doesn't really want to do anything, but he's not making great progress on the game if he's just taking and his creatures aren't attacking or blocking.
Right.
It's not an excellent. It's not really a great spot for Sam, though his hand is pretty loaded.
And morph number 3. So he's Obzon Charming to dig for cards.
Yeah, I like that play because Sam's hand has a lot of spells in it.
He just wants enough land to be able to deploy everything.
Basically, when you do that, you're turning it on average into a land and a spell. So if that land is going to have value, then it's fine to do it. If you're just turning it into another spell, you usually wouldn't do that because Obzon Charm's a pretty good spell, so why are you turning it into a new spell at random? And I think with Sam's hand holding a bunch of spells, he figures I'll keep making land drops. I'll be able to do everything. I'll just cycle this Obzon Charm.
Yeah, Sam's deck is actually exactly the type of deck I hate to play against when I'm playing a Secret Plans deck. Because also your guys are generally, that don't have a lot of power, or they're kind of, you have a lot of cheap unmorphed guys that don't do a ton. You're just looking to get card advantage, and Sam's just looking to just deploy power.
Yeah.
No, in comes Highland Game.
It's an interesting matchup. Obviously, I think it's safe to say that Neal's on tap morph. It's probably not Monastery Flock or Dragon's Eye.
Yep.
Virtually any other morph you're not going to block because Sam's probably got something.
Right.
But if it's one of those, you're all too happy to push it in front. Sam uses a trick. You on morph a draw a card and maybe it lives, maybe it doesn't. You're pretty happy there either way.
Well, we also know that Sam's brought in Windstorm against Neal.
Well, we saw Jessica Wind Scout and Ice Feather Raven. I don't necessarily know if I'd bring it in for just those two or not, but blue tends to have some flyers.
Right. And he may have seen some black and assumed there's some Abominations.
Yeah, that would make sense, yeah.
There's, I believe, at least one in Neal's deck.
Abomination of Gadul is a card I like a lot. It's just kind of a slow format, and the ability to usually play 18 lands, but then the ability to cash in those lands when you don't need them.
Right.
Just really good. Flying's good in this format, too.
All right, so Neal Oliver passes the turn with no play, no attack. He's comfortably at 5 lands now. I guess maybe Sam was, also with that Obzon Charm, looking for a third creature so he could deploy his incremental growth for maximum value.
That makes sense. Because it has to target 3, so if you have 2, you have to target one of their creatures.
You do have to target one of theirs, yeah. All right. Here's a Mystic of the Hidden Way. Draw a card. Looks like he just drew another Secret Plans.
Exciting.
I've not had 3 in play yet, but it feels hard to lose when you have 2.
Have you had 2?
I have had 2.
I've never had 2.
I won a draft here on Friday, and I had 2. I had 2 in play twice, and it was
Jeez.
I nearly decked myself because it's mandatory card draw.
Oh yeah, it's interesting. I have liked it the few times I've had it.
Okay, so the Mystic starts chipping away. And plays another morph. Yep.
Just got Wind Scout this turn.
He played the Just Guy Wednesday. Okay, there we go.
I mean, there's no shortage of morphs in play or anything.
Yeah.
And Sam doesn't even think about using that Windstorm for just that. He's waiting for some value.
Yeah.
Correctly so, because that 2-1 is not that influential on this board right now.
No, he'd love to be able to windstorm that Mystic.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mystic doesn't have flying, just straight unblockable.
All right. Here comes a morph. I wonder what it is.
Could it be an Abzan Guide? Is that what you're hinting at?
Could it not be an Abzan Guide?
I don't know. Let's look at Sam's morphs, just for fun. I don't know if he has other morphs. Looks like he does not have many other morphs. He has a Krumar Bonkin.
Oh, right. So morph gets in the way of morph, and it is an Abzan Guide.
He does have some black morphs. Sam's got a Ruthless Ripper, a Sidisi's Pet, and a Krumar Bonkin to go with his 3 Abzan Guides.
So now Ice Feather Aven bounces the Abzan Guide.
Yeah, but guess what's about to happen now?
Yeah. And Windstorm for 2.
Sam holding up 2 fingers.
Yeah.
In case you were wondering, not for 1, but for 2.
Seems like a fairly decent turn for both of them, actually.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think Neal minds that much. He drew a card off the Ice Feather Raven, bounced a creature. He just keeps drawing cards.
Yeah, that's how it goes in this deck.
You sound like a man who knows.
Oh, I do. Okay, gets in for 6. That is a 1-turn clock. So what can Sam do here?
It's going to be really hard for Sam to race this. Without the Abzan Guide in play to attack, I don't really see how he's going to gain life. And he doesn't have that much removal.
He does have a Become Immense, though. Can he just...
It's going to be 18.
So he can go +5 on the best for the incremental growth. So he can go... I mean, that's assuming, of course, that Neal won't block with his morph, which seems like he's very likely to do.
Yeah, I think this is headed for game 3.
Yeah, I do as well. Lucasio's favorite card, the Mystic of the Hidden Way. Sam's just thinking about it. I mean, he's got, 11 extra points of damage in his hand, but it's not quite enough, like you said, without the Abzan Guide.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about Sam being so in the tank here. I mean, I guess, it is the top 8, but you don't have 18, and you can't kill any of those guys. I guess he's thinking maybe if my Highland game can die, I can live a turn. Is there a way I can make that happen?
So he just attacks with both.
I mean, Neal took it and he conceded. I respect that.
And he shows him the 1,000 wins.
Yeah.
That was, woo. All right.
And I respect that, because you shouldn't just concede, because the guy might block your Highland game.
Right.
If he doesn't, that's not unreasonable. He has a 2-3. If he blocks the Highland game, you get a whole nother turn. Maybe you deploy some stuff. Maybe Sam could have won.
Right.
Once he didn't block the Highland game, he knows Neal's sending those mystics. I mean,
yeah. He has enough respect. He's just like, yeah, there's zero chance you're not going to just bash me with those two unblockable creatures. And it's interesting, right? You know, because this is Sam Black playing this deck with all these pump spells. You know, I feel like normally we watch Sam Black play, and he has all these kind of reactive spells, right? You know, he has all these kind of kill shots and smite the monstresses, and whatever removal spells. He doesn't have a lot of that in this deck.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a Sam Black style deck.
Yeah, this is much more of an all-in kind of deck.
Yeah. It's weird, though, because, he has a pretty high power level, so I didn't think he had to play it this way with all these pump spells. Sam chose to go this route with the deck. He didn't play his Bitter Revelations.
Really?
Yeah, like...
That's surprising to me.
Right. He went a completely different route with this deck than I would have. I mean, he played his dead drop, but, I would have personally played the 2 Bitter Revelations. I would have probably not played one of the pump spells, the Gurmak Swift Wing. Sam seemed to want to take this into the aggro route.
Right.
And I don't know. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I can say for sure that it's not what I would have done.
Okay. So we have 2 results from our back tables. It sounds like Seth Manfield has defeated Jessica Buchanan. Oh, and it looks like Lucas Seahow is also advanced past Shahar Shenar.
Okay.
And in the other bracket, Xavier Allegrucci has advanced past Pascal Menard. So I'm sure his dad's super, super happy right now. That means you are going to get to see your son on camera next round.
And if anybody has Magic in the blood, it's Xavier Allegrucci, considering his dad was playing Magic when he was born.
Right. 1998 or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy. All right, but we still have one more game of Magic to deal with in this quarterfinal, and that is Neal Oliver with his Secret Plans deck versus Sam Black with his Obzon Guide theme deck.
Yeah, both decks that I like a lot. It's really interesting that Sam, found this beatdown path out of his deck. He didn't play the Archer's Parapet, he didn't play the Bitter Revelations. I don't know, with the ability to gain the life back with the Obzon Guides, I feel like that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is have Bitter Revelations. And
Obzon Guide seems to shine best in that more control-y, grindy.
Right. You fall behind paying life and drawing cards, you get the life back with the life link. But, I didn't lay out the deck. Maybe when he laid it out, he just felt like this curve and pump spells and everything, it made a more complete deck.
All right. There you see them. So both players have kept 7.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
Out of these 2 sweet decks, I'd like to see, no mana screws, no mulligans. That's great.
But by the way, that game with Neal Oliver, he missed his second land drop.
Yeah, but then he drew like a champ right afterwards. I mean, it's a big swing because you think on turn 2, you're like, oh, well, I lost. I missed my land drop.
Right.
But then he draws Forest Swamp the next 2 turns and gets rolling.
And we're not seeing, oh, there's some green. So this is going to be a Secret Plans or Smoke Teller. Okay. So you just snap off a block here, don't you?
Yeah, I expect he will.
Yep. And there's Dragon Scale Boon, a card that Sam took very highly in this draft.
Dragon Scale Boon is a good card in the Morph format, but once again, it's an aggressive card. And when Sam took it in the draft, I remember thinking, wow, I wasn't sure I would have took the Dragon Scale Boon there. It's a fine card, but I didn't think it really fit his Bitter Revelation deck well. But me and Sam obviously thought he was drafting a different deck. I thought he was drafting a Bitter Revelation control deck. He thought he was drafting, a beatdown deck with pump spells.
Right. So on upkeep, Neal Oliver used Crippling Chill on the Morph.
Reasonable.
And Sam's just going to play another one. By the way, that's probably also an Obzon Guide.
He does have non-Obzon Guide morphs. It could be Krumar Bonkin, Ruthless Ripper, or Sidisi's Pet as well.
My money's on Obzon Guides.
It's 50-50.
I saw his opening hand.
It's not 50-50 anymore.
Okay. Here comes a morph from Neal Oliver, but this can be and there. Okay, and it looks like he does have 1,000 wins kind of his hand. All right, 2 morphs come in. Neal's unwilling to take the trade this time.
Which does tell us things about Neal's morph.
Yeah.
Probably not a Dragon Eye Savant or a Monastery Flock.
Right. I believe it's an Abomination of Godal. There's Secret Plans. Yeah, life totals can't be correct there. That was 6 damage that came in. So here comes Secret Plans.
This is nice because it kind of puts the onus on Sam. If Neal left his mana back, and Sam could assume maybe it's an Ice Feather Raven or something like that, and it could put Sam in a bad spot, maybe where he only sends the 4/4. As it is, since we know it's not that, Neal decided to not leave his mana up. I'm not exactly sure how this turn's going to play out. I mean, if Neal's not attacking, he's certainly contemplating a double block.
Right.
In the end, he does decide to attack. The one he just morphed is probably a good blocker, maybe a Monastery Flock or a Dragon's Eye Savant.
Okay, so are you going to put a morph in the way of something?
Yeah,
here?
he's just picking which 2/2 to block. No, he takes it. That's interesting. I mean, I guess once again, it can't be one of those morphs that he could unmorph. I would have thought he would block a 2/2 there. You're not really giving your opponent second Dragon Scale boon. But, I mean, maybe it's an Ice Feather Raven or some very good morph for 1,000 wins for that matter.
Well, it could be 1,000.
It could definitely be 1,000 wins because, I think that you're very likely to block in the situation Neal was just in. And he didn't block. So I'm pretty much willing to bet, actually, at this point, that that's 1,000 wins.
Wow.
He's reading it. That's another side. It's probably 1,000 wins.
Here it is.
Yeah.
Unmorph 1,000 wins. Bounce 3 cards back to your hand.
What a swing.
Draw a card. Let me see what these are. Not sure what Sam's trying to figure out here.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, he's revealing a Ruthless Ripper.
Yeah. I thought maybe he was worried about the order of the bounce and draw card, but obviously that's not something you really have to worry much about the order of. But yes, he does get to reveal the Ripper and deal 2 damage.
Though. One of them was the second one was a Ripper.
2 Obs and Guides, 1 Ripper. I'll take it. And that's a huge swing. Look at this game. The counters from the Dragon Scale boon are gone. There's a huge flyer. I mean, Neal is in a very commanding position now.
Yeah, he's a 10. He is going to just get in with his flyer here.
Interesting.
I guess he figures even if...
no reason to lose to becoming immense plus something, maybe?
Right.
I mean, it depends on how good your hand is if you're Neal at this point. If you think it's going to be a close race, I might send both. But if your hand is just a bunch of gas, you just don't want to lose the game.
There's the Swift Wing.
Yeah.
All right. Another morph from Sam. Sam is at 14.
I mean, Neal's got a lot of cards in hand.
Yes. One of them is definitely a Crippling Chill.
Okay, and that's going to be huge.
Okay.
Unmorphing the Abomination of Gadul. Looks good. So I wasn't sure whether he would send both or just the Abomination and have the 1,000 ones as a blocker.
Right.
But now that he just drew Dragon's Eye Savants, I think this will be a pretty easy attack for 8. There's no way that he dies. I mean, he's even out of becoming immense range.
Well, I mean, he's a 10.
Yeah, but he's going to block. He's not going
Right.
to take the 4 and plus 6 plus 6. It would have to be becoming immense plus something.
Right.
It's pretty hard to do.
Right. It would be become immense and awaken the bear.
Yeah.
For example. Oh, it looks like he's holding Force away.
So maybe he'll just pass with a Force Away open rather than morph the Dragon's Eye Savant. This way, if Sam goes for an Abzan Guide or Becoming Immense or something, he's got Force Away. If he does, in fact, have a Force Away in hand,
right.
I like that play.
Right, absolutely. And, Sam's at the point where he has to unmorph an Abzan Guide just to gain life, too, right?
So if I'm Neal, I go ahead and make my land drop because I have a lot of spells and I have Secret Plans out, and I pass the turn with Force Away out, if he has a Force Away.
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Oh, but he's going to Crippling Chill on upkeep here.
Don't get me wrong, Neal's very likely to win this game, but yeah, I don't like that. I think I would leave up Force Away. I guess you can lose to Becoming Immense plus Feet if your plan is to Force Away. You also lose to that if you Crippling Chill, though.
Right.
But if you play a Morph blocker, you don't lose to that. And knowing that Sam does have Becoming Immense, if he saw Feet, I don't know if he saw it or not, Sam does have it.
Yeah, I don't know if he did.
I think I would have maybe just dropped the blocker.
Yep.
I definitely don't really like this line by Neal. I think if you're going to pass, you just sit on Force Away. I see no reason to let Sam get in that hit with the Absent Guide. I mean, I know Neal's a huge favorite in this game regardless.
All right, so the Morph is not going to untap for Sam. The Absent Guide just brought him to 10. Neal's at 6.
Yeah. I mean, if Neal doesn't have any way to pump his guys, he can still Force Away the Absent Guide, get to loot off the Ferocious trigger, get to loot off the Abomination of Gudal hit.
Yep.
I mean, he's just way, way ahead.
All right, discards a land.
Just basically making sure you don't die at this point.
I think he might. Oh, is this a Singing Bell Strike?
It's the Force
No, he just
Away.
does the Force Away. Okay.
Because you don't want him to feed it or something. Just basically making sure he doesn't die.
Loots again. Wow, Neal Oliver's making Secret Plans look good.
It's a good card. There's nothing wrong with Secret Plans.
Plays the Singing Bell Strike anyway.
I'm not really sure what that does.
Yeah, that's not untapping this turn,
Yeah,
correct?
I don't like that play. I mean, if Sam's going to get back in this game now, it's going to involve end hostilities or something like that.
Right.
I don't know what Singing Bell striking the Morph does. I don't know if that accomplishes anything.
Okay, so Dragon Eye Savants, he's like, let me see what you got to work with. So, the Ruthless Ripper, the Abzan Charm.
I especially don't like that play. Since Neal's about to Dragon Eye Savant, why don't you look at his hand first before you Singing Bell strike a guy that's not going to untap anyway? I know that Neal's...
You also get to reveal one fewer card if you're going to still play the Singing Bell Strike.
Singing Bell Strike.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Neal's kind of in the victory lap right now, but what if you looked at his hand here and saw end hostilities? How silly would you feel about casting that Singing Bell Strike? It's just completely doing nothing. I don't know what Neal had and when, but if Neal had that Dragon Eye Savant before the loot off the Force Away, I would have certainly done that first.
Then we're just going to see a face-up Kintree Warden here. Just an extra blocker.
For that guy that can't untap from Crippling Chill or Singing Bell Strike.
Actually, doesn't the Singing Bell Strike give him a way to actually untap it?
Yeah, but that wouldn't do anything. That would leave him dead on board. If he played a land and top 6 untapped it. Clearly, this game is over, but like I said, if Sam was going to win this game involving end hostilities or
Doom Blast, or...
well, yeah, he's a little short of Doom Blast, but... Yeah. But regardless, if Sam was going to be able to win this game somehow, Awaken the Bear plus Feet, last turn, I mean, Neal really didn't close out this game well, in my opinion. He really did give Sam a few narrow windows to win the game that he probably didn't have to give him. And if Sam, at this point, was going to end hostilities, the only way I could really conceive of Sam winning, he just spewed a Singing Bell Strike.
There's the hand. Sam Black has conceded to Neal Oliver. He's going to lose next turn. Neal Oliver advances to the semifinals where he's going to face 17-year-old Xavier Allegrucci.